commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. The president took to the microphone late, just as we went into break, or a little before, during our conversation with Congressman Peter King. And basically, he said that the Republicans in the House, most of them are obstructionists, and that if they had passed immigration reform in the form of the Senate bill, then all the problems, or most of the problems, would have been fixed by now. Instead, they wasted a year. He said, I held off for pressuring them for a long time. He says Republicans are going against the will of the majority of the American people because they won't stand up to the Tea Party. He said some Republicans say the system's broken, so you can't fix it. And he said this is not on the level. That's his new slogan. It's not on the level. The lawsuit against him isn't on the level. This accusation isn't on the level. That's his new little mantra. He said, I don't prefer taking administrative action. I'd like to see legislation. But he says if they're not going to pass legislation, then he's going to take legislative action. So he's directed Homeland Security and the Attorney General to advise him on how far he could go, what he could do in the form of executive orders to, as he says, fix as much as he can on his own of the immigration problem. He's prepared to work with Congress, so he says, but he's ready to take action on his own. And he said, I would just love to sign a bill that's passed. But if they're not going to pass a bill, then I'm going to have to do it for them. I don't think that's the way the system is supposed to work. The congressmen represent the people who elect them. And if the people really were so outraged, they'd vote the congressman out. But they're not going to do that. And Obama's approval rating on everything from immigration to the way he's handling Iraq is way, way down. All right, let's welcome in the Malzberg panel. Now that you've been brought up to speed, the host of the Christopher Hahn Show and former senior aide to Senator Charles Schumer, Christopher Hahn, and criminal defense attorney Janet Johnson. Hello to both of you. I want to start right away with Christopher. You want to weigh in on what the president has done here?
Hey, look, I think he needs to be taking more action and being more aggressive towards Congress, because let's face it, these guys are really just obstructionists. I think Congressman Peter King would probably agree with you if you asked him privately. I think that it's time for the president to act, because Congress is not acting, and we've got real problems. Now, he's asking the Attorney General, he's asking Homeland Security what he can and cannot do within the boundaries of the law, and I expect him to act within the boundaries of the law and do whatever he can as president, as commander-in-chief, as the executive branch to enforce the laws we have on the books and make sure that we do what we can to solve some of these immigration problems that Congress refuses to act on for purely political reasons.
Right. Janet, why should we expect the president to act within the law or within the parameters of the Constitution when we just saw Hobby Lobby today said he didn't do it on the Affordable Care Act? We saw last week 9-0, and we've seen about 12 times 9-0 votes saying that this president has violated the Constitution. So do you hold out hope here that he's going to follow the law this time?
Well, I want to get to Hobby Lobby because I don't think he violated the law, but I do think that it is a little bit of nerve on the week of the executive action that was taken previously for the appointments. On the week that got struck down, it is a bold thing to do, but I guess if you don't double down on it, sue me. That's been a Twitter, thing that's been trending. Go ahead and sue me. See how far that gets you. I think action needs to be taken. I personally, if I was advising him, would say right now, let's stay away from taking executive actions because the Supreme Court did just unanimously say that we did that illegally. So that's a touchy subject this week.
Yeah, well, it seems, but if you go back even a few months or years, it's a touchy subject right through the waters because, like I said, 12 9-0 decisions against this administration when it comes to them overreaching and overstepping against the Constitution of the United States. Let's go to Hobby Lobby, Janet. So you disagree with the decision?
I disagree on every corner. We always say four corners in the law. I agree thoroughly with Ginsburg in her dissent. There's a bunch of problems with this decision. The first is I think the science is just wrong. Hobby Lobby objects to these forms of birth control, not all forms, just 4 forms. So I think we have been getting that wrong a little bit in how we're covering it. But Hobby Lobby objects to 4 forms that they say are akin to abortion, but the science just isn't on their side. You know, the morning after pill stops fertilization. The IUD stops fertilization. So I think their science is wrong.
That's not, Janet, that's not the issue. The court didn't go into the science of the various pills. So that's a diversionary tactic here, and it has nothing to do with the case. The case was, can a corporation, a small corporation, a family-owned corporation, can corporations be forced by the administration of the United States of America to go against their religious beliefs and provide this kind of coverage when their religious beliefs say they're against it and they should not do it. And the Supreme Court of the United States said religious freedom trumps the order of the President of the United States and the administration.
Let me get in here, because I agree with Janet 100%. I agree with Janet 100%. But I also want to say this is yet another decision by the conservatives on the Supreme Court to side with money's religious values over regular people's religious values or lack thereof. And again, whenever money is at play, the Supreme Court, conservatives on the Supreme Court, they side with money. And that's what happened here.
Really, they sided with, excuse me, how did they side, whose religious values were not sided with?
How about the people who want to take birth control who work at Hobby Lobby? How about them?
You're kidding me, right? You're absolutely kidding me, right? You know what? Let me tell you. Wait, Christopher. Christopher, you asked a question. Now let me answer it. They could take anything they want. They could buy anything they want. They have the freedom to buy it and take it. They have the freedom to quit their job and go to some place where they'll be provided it. They could do whatever they want, Christopher. Give me a break.
Steve, as the only woman here,
in these tough economic...
Wait a minute, one at a time. Let's finish with Christopher here.
Let me just give you, Steve, in these tough economic times, don't you want people to have an a recreational activity they can afford? So why don't let's get... I don't
understand. What are you talking about? A recreational activity they can afford? Popping abortion pills? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Not abortion pills.
Enjoying life. Let's give them a recreational activity they can afford.
Wait a minute, Christopher. So you're saying that if the employees of Hobby Lobby, female, don't have this birth control pill provided for them, their financial circumstances, and you're telling me they won't be able to have sex. Is that what you're telling me?
Every actuary you talk to will say it's cheaper to provide birth control than to have these people raising kids.
All right, we're coming back. Janet, we'll start with you when we come back, I promise. We're talking to Janet Johnson, criminal defense attorney, and Christopher Hahn, host of the Christopher Hahn Show, about right now the Hobby Lobby case. There was also another case that went against unions. So we'll fill you in. You want to weigh in on social media? Here's how you do it, folks.